Shalom, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule well, and salutations and blessings upon the elect. Alright, yeah, this is just a on-the-spot video. Semiramis woman worship spirit, man, that a lot of you fucking Israelites have, man. You know, you guys have this woman worship spirit on you. You know, I watched this one video by Black Education TV, this so-called Israelite woman teaching, man, and she said, and this is not a response video per se. You know, I was gonna do one, but there's no point, man, because the title covers a more broad topic, man. You know, a more host of people, right? She says, oh, you can't marry white women, which I have never heard any Israelite group say to marry another nation. What you have with women from other nations, they are deemed as concubines. Concubines and wives are two different things. Now, when we talk about King Solomon and all that stuff, they'll point, oh, see, he went off with marrying them and blah blah blah. He did go off with marrying them, and he did go off by worshiping their gods. What he not went off on was them being concubines. But anything to do with King Solomon is erased in them, you know, in their minds. So how about we jump to King David? Before I start off with that scripture, with the one I just had, I'm gonna just jump to King David, because guess what? King David had concubines, right? This is 2 Samuel 5:13, and David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem. So we know that a concubine is not an Israelite woman. Why? Because to marry, you can only marry an Israelite woman. Concubine is just a woman you sleep with, and she's your woman, but you don't have a marriage ceremony with her as you would with an Israelite woman. You don't have a certificate, so to speak, or you wouldn't have to you know, go through the customaries or the customs you would with her father, you know, than you would with the Israelite woman. So he took more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. Now, what did this woman say that was so-called teaching? She said, oh, it's because for the fact that you corrupt your seed. Your seed cannot be corrupted. An Israelite man's seed, like, where's a scripture on that your seed is corrupted? Because that would make the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh corrupted, because they would be half Hamites according to this bitch, you know, or they would be half corrupted because their mother was an Egyptian or Mizraimite woman, right? So that would exclude two tribes from the elect then, you know, or whatever the hell she claims, right? That wouldn't make any kind of sense, man. You know, but you listen to a woman long enough, you'll start to bug out, man. You know. So back to what I had. You know, because she says, oh, you guys quote Paul and Timothy's, and her explanation of this scripture was he was talking to he was telling a married woman that she cannot teach her husband. What kind of madness is that, man? If she she can't teach her husband, right? Which is true. What gives her the right to teach her another man? To teach another man? You know, she can't teach another man. If she can't teach her husband, how the fuck is she gonna teach another man? All right, this is 1 Timothy 2. I'm gonna start at 9 because this is the point. It doesn't say married woman; it says woman in general, right? It says 1 Timothy 2 and 9. In like manner also that women in general adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array, but which becometh a woman professing godliness with good works. Right, and how does a woman profess godliness? We're gonna read on. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, meaning under the rule. And the woman is the weaker vessel. The woman came out of the man. So what the hell can she teach a man? Right? The order is Yahweh Shai, which, by the way, that dumb bitch, which is, I'm gonna call you because you're without shame. You're shameless. You know, because you're teaching. That you should be shamed for that. You can't teach a man nothing. You know? She calls him Yah. Yeah, you don't have the full name, man. That's why you clowns are just bugged out. And then you say another word, Elohim, which is what? That is an Ashkenazi word, man. That's not Hebrew. You know? That ain't Hebrew. You guys are some Khazar shit, man. You're talking about white woman. You should check the language that you're using. You are using a corrupt dialect. Never mind a corrupt seed. Right? It says, verse 12, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence, man. To be in silence, not to post fucking YouTube videos, teaching and professing and witnessing. You cannot do that, man. The Most High, he said his tabernacle is with men. Were there any women that were priests? Were there any, you know, kings that were women? You know? You guys are stupid as hell, man. See, but that's the spirit that's going out there. This is not about this woman that I'm talking about right now. You know, this ain't about one certain individual. This is about a whole spirit that's going out there. This is that Semiramis woman worship spirit. You understand? Everybody is under that vibration. Mother Nature, right? Mother Nature and all this fucking bullshit. You know? Right? It says, so he just told you not to teach, nor to usurp authority. To usurp means to overthrow. You know? So it's not talking about, oh, just your husband. You know? It's talking about any man. You cannot usurp authority over any man. It tells you to be in silence, man. Not to make YouTube videos again. Right? Just to get the point across. Because they're trying to twist and mangle the scripture into you having to do whatever the hell you want to do. And your husband is a little bitch, man. You know? Your husband, if he's letting you teach, man, which he obviously is, because you're doing whatever the hell you want to do on YouTube, you know, he doesn't have the rule over his house, man. A woman's supposed to be in silence, man. That's what the scripture just said. It says, for Adam was first formed, then Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety, man. That's the good work. That's the godly works, man. She's helping out her husband. You know, she makes garments for him. She takes care of him, takes care of the kids. You know, cooks, cleans, all that stuff, man. Makes clothing, cooks food. You know, guide the house. That's what the scripture says. You know, but you got people saying, no, they can teach. They can, man. You guys are stupid as hell, man. And you had Israelites that did worship Semiramis in the ancient world. Right? Look, it says Jeremiah 7:18. The children gather wood and the fathers kindle the fire, and the woman knead their dough to make cakes to the queen of heaven. Who's the queen of heaven, man? Right? That's that woman worship. And, you know, it all started with Nimrod, Tammuz, and Semiramis. Right? Nimrod and Tammuz and Semiramis were husband and wife. They had a son, Tammuz. When Nimrod died, they say he came back as a Tammuz and all this madness, right? And Semiramis was the queen of heaven. It all ties into Mary, man. And the actual woman Mary, who was Yahweh's mother, she was never exalted, man, which I'm gonna prove. I'll get back to this scripture real quick. trying to find one scripture, man. I think it's in the book of Luke. Yeah, this is Luke 11. This is a beautiful scripture, man. This is Luke 11, right? Luke 11 and 27. It says, "And it came to pass, as he spake these things, a certain woman of the company lifted up her voice and said unto him, Blessed is the womb that bare thee." You know, so basically he was speaking, and of course a woman comes up, because that's what these women that nowadays do. They'll just come up and start spewing that Semiramis spirit, man, and that's all it is. That whole woman worship, woman liberation, equality spirit. That's all. It all goes back to Semiramis, man. Worshiping the womb, the Vesca Pisces, whatever you want to call it, man. You know. So she said, "Blessed is the womb." You know, basically, blessed is the mother, your mother, right? And said unto him, "Blessed is the womb that bare thee, and the paps which thou hast sucked," meaning the breast. But what did Yahushua say? But he said, "Yea, rather, blessed are they that hear the word of the Most High and keep it," man. He didn't say, "Yes, you are right, sister. Blessed is my mother. Blessed is the woman that bare." No, man, he didn't say that. He said, "Yea, rather." You know, there was no woman worship back then. That whole thing about Mary, right? That came about during the Roman Catholic Church with the wicked church fathers. They implemented that whole thing about the Virgin Mary, and then the bullshit about everlasting virgin. That's all Roman Catholicism. But the fact that or the statement that the statement that she was a virgin came about through the Roman Catholic Church doctrine. From where did they get that from? Paganism. From paganism, man. Right? It went through the Babylonians as Semiramis again, passed on to all the other kingdoms, man. The Assyrians, the Persians took it on, then the Greeks, then the Romans, you know, the Egyptians. They all had that shit about the Queen of Heaven. It's nothing new. This is old shit, man. You know? Right? So, again, back in Jeremiah 7 and 18. Right? It says, the children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven. Right? And to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger, man. And that's what you niggas do, man. You so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, especially Latinos, man. You guys, and you really get it too, because you push that matrilineal bullshit, man. The mother clans in your tribes, man. You push that heavy, man. You cannot tell a native man about his father. He will determine his lineage, his blood lineage, through his mother. You know, that's why when we went to the powwow last year, you had talking to a Gadite from New York State. And, you know, he said, "Oh yeah, my mother is I forgot what tribe he said, Oneida or something like that." And then we're like, "Oh, what about your father?" "Oh, my father's Mohawk." So that's what you really are, man. You determine by who your father is. If his mother was white, then what would he say then? Then obviously you go back to his father. You see how bugged out these guys are? You know, you guys hold up the woman to such a high degree, man. The woman is a very important thing. We're not denouncing a woman. We're not denouncing her role. But you guys are making up roles for her that are not scriptural. You guys are making artificial roles for her, man. You understand? She has roles within the scriptures, and the scriptures plainly lay out the role that she must play, which are very important, man. And you see the result of the woman not being in the home from woman's lib, from the 60s and 70s and onward. You see the result of that. Complete madness. All right? You know, I'm going to bring on one more scripture. This is Jeremiah 31 and 22. It says, "How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter?" Talking about us, Israel. "For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man." You know, and that's a new thing in the earth, man. A woman compasses a man. That is a new idea and concept, man. You understand that? That is a new thing, man. You know, because all that shit, that was not in the ancient world, man. You did not have that. You know, you have women as judges now, fucking officers of the law, arresting men. What kind of shit is that, man? But only a devil like Esau he would comprise something like that. He would make something like that and put it into law. You know, you see the result. You see these kids out here, man. The father's not in the home. The mother is totally bugged out because she keeps going from person to person, sleeping with the next man to the next man, because she thinks either she's above him or at the very least she's equal to him, so therefore he cannot play his patriarchal role, man. You know, totally bugged out, man. Got the roles reversed. You know, so that was it on that. You know, Lord's will. I feel if the Most High allows it, you know, we're gonna go further with this. If Yahweh Shah allows it, we're gonna go forward with this. You could do a whole couple hours on this topic, the Semiramis spirit. Go into the ancient records and, you know, dig up the history and so whatnot. Understand? But this is just a quick on the spot. It got me fueled up, man, because a woman cannot teach. And then you have a woman telling you who you cannot sleep with. That is some mass confusion right there. You know? So with that, I want to say Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. And salutations and blessings unto the elect, pushing the truth of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and that are not in this Semiramis spirit. And some brothers may be under that Semiramis spirit. Some brothers may preach one thing on the highways, come home and be pushovers, man. We cannot fully, I gotta get this one thing out because I was meditating on it. We cannot fully practice what we preach, right? But the things that we can practice, we must. You understand? Because we preach what? Man is over the woman. When we go home, can we fully put that into effect? No. But what does that mean? Do we have to become pushovers? Hell no, man. If the woman tries to push you over, you just leave that woman, because you cannot establish your dominion. Her master is the so-called white man, Esau. And how is that proven? Because if you try to establish your dominion over his, the man that has you in captivity, she will call upon him via 911. She will press those 3 magical buttons on her speed dial, right? And he will come and arrest you and take you out of your home, take you away from your kids, right, where you pay your bills, and make you look like a damn fool. You know, he will do that to you. You know, so the things that we can practice, we have to, man. We have to try it to the best of our ability, but we can't practice everything. We're not practicing everything we're preaching because we're still in captivity. So for people saying, oh, you guys aren't, you don't have your house in order, you guys preach to a woman in this, yeah, because yo, we're in captivity, man. We're under these curses, but we still have to tell you the truth. To where if brothers are under that Semiramis spirit, if oh yes honey, and yes I'll miss camp, I'll take you to Hudson Bay, and oh yes I'll you know, the kids are more important than the word. That's not in the scriptures, man. Nothing is more important than this word. Not your family, not your children, not your job, not your hobbies, not your pastimes, not your lusts. This word is first, man, because this is, man, you just gotta think about it. This is the link feed, man. Who are we praising right now? We're praising the author, the origin, man, the creator, man. That's some heavy shit to meditate therein. You know, that is some heavy ass shit, man. So when you meditate, when you think about it like that, in that perspective, everything else just is blurred, man. Just, you know, everything else just becomes a blur. You just go in that tunnel vision, man. You don't give a shit what no one says, you know. So again, shalom to the elect. Until next time, shalom.